Bitcoin and altcoins surge as we open up another bullish week, as we were expecting, well, at the end of last week. We've got some cool news about DeFi potentially switching to Bitcoin as well. And of course, we're going to break down all of these charts. We're also going to talk about trade psychology so you guys can be best prepared to actually make some money off of these gains. Unlike 2017, where a lot of individuals were up in unrealized P&L, but did not know where to take profit. So stay tuned for today's episode of Breaking Bitcoin.
Hi, this is Brian Kerr from Kava Labs. You are watching Breaking Bitcoin.
Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin. This is your daily source for everything cryptocurrency markets and personal finance. My name is Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at CrackingCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from and however you happen to be watching us today, whether you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. Hopefully you guys are doing awesome. We've got a great show for you guys today. So much we're going to talk about. Good day in the markets. Good day to just hold open long positions. Still holding my Bitcoin long. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend update that came out yesterday. I really enjoyed making that video. And if you guys want to see more videos like that, make sure to comment below today's video or underneath that video and let me know what topics you would like to hear me cover or hear the team cover, what charts you guys would like to see, what markets you would like to see analyzed. But really good time. As you guys can see, full power has been restored, so we are back up and operational here at the office. So good times. Thank you so much for the patience. I know last week was different, but I want to give a huge shout out to the team, Jack, Alex, Jason, for really stepping up and putting on the live streams, for giving you guys some amazing analysis and keeping you guys keeping you guys well updated and well informed on what's going on in the markets while I was dealing with a natural disaster. And we're still dealing with it, obviously. I mean, just, a lot of individuals here still affected, doing what I can to assist where I can. But power has been restored to my local via, and we're doing the best that we can. So looking forward to an amazing week. The week is starting off very bullish. We see that with Bitcoin. We see that with all of the information and news coming out. So we're going to get into the charts, get into the markets, and break all of that down. Before we get started, if you guys haven't already, take a moment to support the channel. Make sure you're subscribed to us here on YouTube so you never miss an episode, and hit the thumbs up button if you guys don't mind. It helps us out more than you know, because we have to work pretty hard to overcome the shadow ban here on the YT. So any support is appreciated. If you're watching on Twitch and DLive, of course, you can support us over there as well with a follow or subscription. Helps us make new content and keeps us educating the next generation of traders. All right, guys, with that being said, let's hop over to the charts and break everything down. All right. Ooh, Hypercash. Yes, this is an active position we're in. Give you guys a quick update on. Come on now. All right, we got to zoom this out. This is always slightly a little bit too here. Now, just give you guys an update on the premium signal service. The service we provide as part of our premium trading group. We provide signals and trade setups to our members. Doing very well. The only bad trade that we have going on is OAX. I believe that actually most likely just hit the SL right now. It needs updated. But overall, it's been a fantastic month. August has been a relatively easy month for us, just taking the setups and positions that we're in. This is just the official signals. We have analyst signals as well. Let's go over to, it's so up overall, 22% on total portfolio and unrealized P&L. If we were to sell all, 15% locked in so far on BTC realization and 5% so far on USD. So not too bad for a month. And one, there's a topic that I want to talk about. And I was talking about this morning in a meeting with my team and also in a mentoring session the other day. I get this a lot. I wouldn't say I get it a lot, but one thing that I do get frequently, because I think I'm the only, as far as I'm aware, listen, I'm not trying to talk about quality or anything here. I am one of the few people, if there's anybody else, but as far as I know, I'm the only person out there who consistently talks about things like trade psychology and money management and strategy when it comes to the cryptocurrency markets. There are a few other individuals that do it in relation to other markets, but certainly this is my niche, and I certainly think it's one of the reasons why you guys keep coming back and why you guys find this program enjoyable, as well as the trading material. Those of you who are in our Discord and who trade the way that we do, or have learned some of our concepts or use some of our indicators, or just practice some of the methods that we teach. because it works. It works because it's sustainable. It allows individuals to actually realize profit, extract money from the markets, and do it in a consistent fashion. There are lots of different ways to make money. There are lots of different ways to make money in the financial markets. You can be a bank. You can work for a bank. You can provide loans. You can collect loans. You can scrape interest. You can, you can scrape the bid-ask spread. You can develop a bot. You can arbitrage. You can, buy and hold. You can, you can spray and pray. You can, be a DGen 100x longer. There's different ways. There's different strategies to make money. But at the core of all pursuits of money, right? You have to know how to be good with money. You have to know how to secure that money. You have to know how to lock it in, and you have to have a strategy to help it grow, right? This is true in your own life with your personal finances, and this is certainly true in the markets. And what we tend to focus on, technically, from a technical perspective, of course, we focus on strategy and setups. We're really not, we're not moon boys here or doom boys here. We don't focus on sentiment or emotion. We usually don't even focus on fundamentals, right? Because often in cryptocurrency, fundamentals don't matter that much in the short term, right? If you want to know whether a coin will appreciate, like right now, like within the next 3 to 6 months, the fundamentals don't matter. If you want to know whether you can invest in something for the long term, that's when the fundamentals matter. That's when you need to base your decisions on what you understand, and you need to have an exhaustive knowledge of what it is that you're investing in, because you're going to have to hold that investment through good times and bad times. Because nothing just moves up in a straight line. Everything enters into bearish trends. We can even look at Bitcoin, something that is extremely fundamentally bullish, something that is going to make the world a better place, that has already made the world a better place, I would argue. And it has had its ups and downs, significant ups, significant downs. So being informed and educated, about what you're investing in gives you the confidence and the courage, and really just the ability, honestly, to hold an investment down through the bad times, and to hold on to it in the up times as well, and to wait for the right moment to take profit. And personally, like my nomenclature, my vocabulary is, when I say the word investment, I mean something that I never intend to sell. So keep that in mind. Like as we move through this bullish cycle, right? There are a lot of things pumping. We're hearing words, buzzwords, like DeFi, Uniswap. The sentiment is in the air that anything can pump, and everything is pumping. But so many individuals went through this back in 2017 and 2018, and a lot of those people didn't actually end up making money. They ended up losing a lot of money. Because they didn't know when to take profit, they didn't know when to sell, they didn't know that they got attached to their investments. Just the classic story of bag holding all the way down. When at one moment, right, there were up fantastic profits, and then those profits kind of kept slowly disappearing until they turned into losses, and then those losses continued to magnify until they were depressing, and then So I've mentored a lot of individuals about those concepts. So remember that as we're going through this bull cycle, it doesn't matter how much a coin is up. It doesn't even matter if you're in that coin. The only thing that really matters is how effective is your strategy in taking what is theoretical profit and converting that into actual money in your trading account that is available for you to either trade more and grow your account more, or to utilize for your own purposes. And you have to ask yourself, what are your purposes? Why are you trading? Most people, I talk to a lot of people, they don't know that they can't answer that question honestly, right? Why, it's the same question, like, why do you want $1 million? Do you want $1 million? Of course you do. Of course you want $1 million. But why? What are you going to do with it? What would you do with it? The sad reality is that if you give most individuals a large amount of money, and we know this from studying the lottery, for example, right? Most individuals that win the lottery are worse off in 5 years than they were before they won the lottery, right? Or right back to where they were. So most individuals do not develop a strategy for wealth. Most individuals are not prepared for wealth, and most individuals do not handle wealth very well. And this is not because of who they are or how they were born or what they were taught necessarily. I mean, it is, but it has to do with the fact that they haven't sat down and written out a strategy or written out a plan. So ask yourself, one thing I want you guys to ask yourself, and comment down below. This is a good one. What is your goal for trading this bull cycle, right? Because let's be honest, right? There are some fantastic things that are coming out of the space. For example, one thing that I was reading about this morning is what one particular project is doing, which is working on tokenizing property on the blockchain. This is not a new concept. This has been around for a long time. We've talked about this for 4 or 5 years. But that's a cool proposition, right? And what DeFi is doing is certainly interesting propositions as far as, giving access to decentralized banking and finance for a lot of individuals. But the reality is that most of us don't actually want these tokens. We don't want to hold these tokens. There might be a use case for those tokens, but still, as an investment, as a trade, there's not a fundamental reason that I would want to hold Litecoin in my wallet. The only reason I would hold Litecoin in my wallet is to either A, use it, or B, because it's a reliable place of savings, or C, because I want to make money off of it because of price appreciation, right? So speculation, savings, or use case, right? Those are the three reasons that you would actually want to hold a coin, right? Beyond that, there's nothing that improves your life, I think, by just having Litecoin. Like, it's not cool. It's not like gold or silver or like something tangible that you can set on your wall or look at on your desk that might be cool. Individuals get attached to that, like people like relicas and people like, paintings and people like art and people like cool stuff that they can look at and touch. So there's aesthetic value there. I don't think there's aesthetic value in something sitting in your ledger. Perhaps that could be argued, but so if the majority of the things that we might buy in the cryptocurrency space, we are eventually going to sell, and really we're only buying them for speculation's sake, and in the case of Bitcoin and maybe some other coins for saving's sake, what is your goal with the profit, right? Ask yourself that. And if you can answer that question, I think you'll be successful when you receive it. If you don't know the answer to that question, when you make that money, when you lock in that, you bought Chainlink at 30 cents and now it's $20 and you are just up so much. You've got into some of these DeFi coins. You've caught some 100x pumps. You've done well. You've got a good amount of bank sitting there at the end of this bullish cycle. Don't lose it, because that's what a lot of other people did, right? They did end up making a ton of money in the 2017, 2018 bull cycles, and then they just kind of traded it away as the market trended down, or they, bought crap that they didn't need. So make sure, I think it's in your best interest if you develop a strategy to utilize your wealth effectively, utilize your profit effectively, and use it in a way that benefits your life sustainably and preferably the lives of those that you love. So, all right, let's get into the charts. Woo! All right, so we've got some cool stuff happening in Bitcoin today. Obviously, a bullish day, nice and pumping, breaking above resistance. I think this is quite a good thing. I am not going to doomsay here. I think that we're going to go higher. I think that we have a good potential to see 14,000 here very quickly. And just as I said over the weekend, if we break above resistance, I can easily see Bitcoin moving up $1,000 to $2,000 very rapidly, because when we break resistance, Bitcoin tends to glide. Now, I'll get into I will cover the strategy for a rejection here, in which case what this movement would be considered a liquidity raid or a sweep. However, I will say that if it was going to be that, those don't look like this. A liquidity raid or sweep looks like a candle like this, right? Where we do briefly trade above resistance and then we hit a wall, and that wall quickly moves down because market sell orders come in. We see a lot of stop losses. We see a lot of liquidations on the short side if price is moving up, and then price rejects very quickly. Market sell orders come in very, very, very quickly, and we tamp down very, very fast. That didn't happen this time. This looks like it's going to be a good, strong candle body close with volume, which, again, is the most basic confirmation that you can look for when you're asking yourself, is this really a breakout? I think it's really a breakout, guys. Interestingly enough, so let's look at, we'll start off with a potential pathways to profit system. So this is a pathways to profit structure. This is a structure, a trading system that we utilize and teach in our online trading academy. So we have been in an active Bitcoin position, or this strategy would have signaled for one to be in an active Bitcoin position back on, let me make sure that my maths are correct. July 21st or July 22nd, right? So a Bitcoin long position from that time, riding it all the way up and through the consolidation period. We did talk a few days ago last week about a potential exit signal generated by the IFT-RSI. This is the inverse Fisher transform on the relative strength index. But it didn't happen. As I said, we rallied intraday and ended up closing above that red threshold. So no exit signal, no action was necessary. And we were hinting at this over the weekend. We were repainting again for an exit signal on Saturday Sunday, as we were getting a bit of a bearish candle there for a day. But again, we rallied late intraday and then ended up having a good strong close. I wouldn't say strong, but good bullish close on Sunday, on yesterday. So bullish price action. Sundays are, let's say, wishy-washy, but Sunday was able to close bullish, which was actually surprising for me to see. And then the CME stepped in, the traders stepped in, the equities markets are bullish, and price is moving up along with them. So things are really good. We are getting our first continuation signal in this trend, right? Actually, hold on, just let me double check here. This was actually a continuation signal. So, sorry, this is our primary signal to go long over here, which was mildly successful, although the initiator did signal down here, which would have been a great trade. The baseline did not agree at that point in time. So this part is an area we would have missed. This was the area that we grabbed, and we are getting an opportunity to grab potentially the next trend in Bitcoin's price action as well. So we are getting a continuation signal on this particular trading system, and this would be, let's go ahead and throw Quadriga on here, our stop and target system. Let's look at conservative targets. Conservative targets are going to be for this trade, for this swing trade, 12,900, 13,000, let's call it 13,380, and 13,860, 13,870, right? So I think that 13,870 is absolutely achievable. I don't see any issues with that. And to kind of confirm that, and stop loss would be around 11,700, basically right down here at the bottom of today's candle. Fairly classic, common area to place your stop loss. And to confirm that, let's look over at the roadmap chart, right? This is the chart that we've utilized to kind of just draw out some lines of resistance, to look at overall just where we're at in the market, right? So the last, kind of areas of note on here are, of course, the rectangle top that broke out, hit our take profit. And as you guys know, excuse me, I do have a few more areas of interest up here, areas where I would like to take profit on Bitcoin. Because they're good areas. They're good areas to take profit. So the first area that I've circled is going to be above our previous swing high on Bitcoin's price action. This is when we rallied in June of 2019. Well, we rallied really early summer, Q1, Q2 of 2019. This is after breaking out of the $3,000 lows, and we rallied all the way up to almost 14,000. We did not quite hit 14,000, but this is the area where I would this is an area where I expect to see some resistance if we're going to see it. I do think we're going to see resistance there. It's just that Bitcoin might just slap past it like the honey badger that it is, or we might get a sell-off there. Again, there are a few fundamental events coming up that could trigger a sell-off. Of course, the first issue is going to be the next round of quantitative easing or stimulus that the United States government is going to put out. This is going to affect the world economy, and this has the ability to cause a drop in all financial markets, just as the March meltdown did. And then, of course, we have the elections coming up in America, which, as whether you like it or not, affect the world. So both of those events have the ability to trigger a market sell-off, and not just cryptocurrency. It's not like, oh, Biden got elected, so sell Bitcoin. No, it's not like that. It's that the instability and panic generated by an already unstable and uncertain system are going to send shockwaves through investors, and investors don't want to hold things that they're not sure are going to appreciate in price. And investors are already on shaky footing with things, even though the market is incredibly bullish. I want to be careful saying that. Saying the market is bullish and noting that it's moving up are not necessarily the same thing, right? For example, if you're a reversal trader and price has been going down for, let's say, a year, okay? You would not look at that chart. You would not look at a chart that's just a straight line down and say this chart is bullish. But if the next day the market reverses, hits its low, and just starts climbing up from there, at what point do you say it's bullish, right? Do you only say it's bullish when it's been moving up for a year? Or do you say it's bullish when it begins to move up, right? So, semantics maybe. But anyways, obviously, don't really need to point this out anymore, but we did break above the diagonal. And yes, it's a diagonal, so whatever, but it mattered. The diagonal resistance line formed from the previous swing highs. If we connect the tops from 2017 to 2019, and then, of course, we didn't quite make it all the way there. Of course, if we do connect the candle closes on the daily time frame chart, we did, but the highs, not absolutely. And we did, of course, break above both those levels of resistance. This was a logical area to target for a short, but of course, it would have been an unsuccessful trade. So if you attempted to short this zone, I even talked about it. This was a good strategy. It just was an unsuccessful trade, and you needed to flip with the trend. Guys, remember that when we're trading in a range, or when we're trading a consolidation strategy, which will be reversal or reversion to the mean, you're going to be right every single time for the most part if you've got a good strategy until the last time that you're wrong, and that's when you have a breakout of that range, and you need to be able to flip dynamically and begin trend following. And I think that's the trap that most multifaceted traders run into. So the $14,200 area is the next area I expect to see us take a pause or potentially sell off or potentially consolidate, which is what Bitcoin's been doing. Step up, consolidation, step up, consolidation. So this is our third step up. If we do end up getting this nice price appreciation, we can see the first step up or reversal from the March meltdown bottom, consolidation, step up, consolidation brief. And again, I'm looking for a step up here up to the $14,000 range. Is what I'd like to see, is what makes more sense right here. I do not see, let's just take a look here. I don't see anything that should necessarily cause, from a chart structure perspective, a massive amount of resistance until we get to this level, right? Again, we have a nice bit of consolidation here. The point of control for this area is right here. So again, that's in the upper $13,900 area. And of course, we have the previous high, which generally can act as resistance as well. So overall, I don't think, as my narrative has been, as my ideas have been, largely the biggest challenge that you're going to face moving forward, and that you've likely been facing so far, is sitting on your hands, right? So let me give you a potential altcoin strategy. Let me give you like my altcoin strategy, because I don't talk too much about what bags I hold or what long-term positions I hold. I reveal my swing trades and I reveal my other trades. And in the premium trading group, I do talk about my long-term investments, but not all of them. And let me give you guys a good strategy on how to maximize your profit when trading altcoins, for the perspective of, from the mentality of these things, this coin has these coins are going to pump. Altcoins are pumping incredibly. How do I get into? How do I get one of those? Right? How do I get a 10x? How do I get a 100x? All right. So this is how you do it. You need to buy a coin when it's in its accumulation zone. Okay. So that means when a coin has relatively bottomed out after moving down for quite a long time, and has been moving sideways for a long time. This is known as accumulation, right? It could be redistribution and the coin has another leg down. But eventually, you're going to have to start taking some stabs when you feel the time is right. This is how you do it. So you buy coins in the accumulation zone, and then you wait. That's it. You wait until your coin pumps. A lot of people are going to make the mistake listen, swing trading, having a swing trading strategy, which is what we do on a daily basis, informs our daily profit, monthly profit, yearly profit as traders. We're taking that off the table. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about, I want to buy a coin that's going to pump, and I'm going to hold it until it pumps, and then I'm going to sell it. How can I successfully do that? This is how you do it. You have to buy a coin at a relatively decent price. Okay, let's say you do that. Say you accomplish that. And then you have to wait. You just have to wait until your coin pumps. You have to wait until your coin puts in those 10, 20, 30 ridiculously huge green bullish candles, hits that 200x, 200%. 10x, 5x, whatever it's going to do. Because often individuals will screw that up by looking at CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko or whatever, or the charts, and seeing what's pumping now, and then want to jump into that. So they dump their position, they dump their good entry, and they hop over into this coin that might have some legs left. But ultimately, you have to realize that we're all out here doing the same thing with these altcoins, right? We want to buy low and sell high. And to sell high, as sellers, you need a buyer on the other side, right? So what this means is, if you bought something cheap at a good price and you were patient and you waited until the price is very high, you are going to need some dummy to step in and buy something when it's expensive for you to offload your position. You need liquidity. You need demand side liquidity. You need buy side liquidity for the sell to be executed. Which means, if you are jumping into coins that are pumping, you are providing the liquidity to the sell side. You are the buy side liquidity. You are the dummy. You are acting in the you are fulfilling the role of who you're going to need when your coin pumps. So I recommend you don't do that. Right now, I'm not saying that money can't be made, jumping into a coin that's pumping. Again, it might have some legs left. It might have a lot of legs left. But, fundamentally, you are doing it wrong when you buy into a coin that's already appreciated, right? So just words of advice there from from being in a lot of cycles. Let's go over to this long-term chart, just long-term weekly chart. Several weeks ago, so it would have been almost 2 months ago now, when I posted this chart on TradingView. Did get some comments. If you guys go check it out, leave a comment on it. I do appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up there. tv.crackingcryptocurrency.com, link in the description. But this was my analysis that we are in a high volume node, reaccumulating, and this is going to lead to further markup. I also broke down the other previous tops and bottoms and accumulation and distribution periods on Bitcoin as well. So we are appreciating above resistance, and this is good. Now, if we look at even longer term indicators, and I pointed this one out, I do like this indicator quite a lot. The Bitcoin Power Law corridor. There's not a lot that you can do with this. This is just something that you put on your chart once in a while, if you hold Bitcoin, to feel good about yourself, right? So let's just stare at this chart for a little bit and feel good about ourselves. So Bitcoin is 454% now from its next all-time high. It is 24% away from the center, where we might experience some resistance perhaps, but we've got some more distance to go. And it is 43% above its current level of support. Again, I want to point out that for the long term, Bitcoin is still in its accumulation zone, okay? It is not overvalued. Bitcoin is not overpriced. Bitcoin is almost fairly priced. Almost fairly priced. And taking a look at the Donchian system, which we actually haven't looked at it here in a little bit. So the Donchian system would have got us nicely into this trade as well. Donchian system would have got us nicely into the earlier trade, actually, that I pointed out with the QQE mod system that would have missed this first trade. So the Donchian system doing well here. A little bit more sensitive, so more false signals, but again, more signals in general. So good trade here, exiting here, and largely staying out of the market. Let's see here. No, not there. And actually, we're not getting continuation right now because we do need TSI to cross back above the signal line here. So the Donchian system actually isn't signaling for continuation today, whereas the QQ mod system is. Let's take a look at market capitalization. We do see, and I talked about this yesterday. So the video came out yesterday. I did shoot it. I'm not gonna lie. I finished the video at like midnight on Saturday, so Sunday, and I got done editing it at like 2 a.m. And then it went through like final vetting and got uploaded Sunday morning. So, but I talked about this on Sunday on the weekend video. I saw that market dominance here had formed a new swing low in a bearish trend. So I think that we are going to see, and I talked about this, I think we're going to see Bitcoin take a leg up. I think alt to BTC values are going to go down. But of course, alt USD values are going to move up, but I don't think they're going to track Bitcoin. And so I said one can aggressively dump altcoins here, wait for a correction, and then buy back into their altcoin positions, which was the smart thing to do. Or individuals can just hold through the melee, because again, we are in a bearish trend here on Bitcoin dominance. And as bullish as Bitcoin is, altcoins are still going to be returning more pound for pound, certainly not in market capitalization though. Certainly not in raw numbers of money. So good things here. So I think we are going to see a few more days of market dominance moving up, market dominance returning to Bitcoin, which is always what happens with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's price moves up. People tend to buy on green candles and sell on red candles. Not really just depends on how you do it. And let's take a look at the lower time frames here for Bitcoin. So here we're going to be looking at the VIX fix to identify tops and bottoms. We're going to be looking at ISA spot as well to identify tops and bottoms. And then we're going to be looking at funding. So one thing, I got a few charts and requests over the weekend and this morning talking about, well, funding is really, really positive and it's above this threshold on the BitMEX funding and premium index indicator. Doesn't that generally indicate a top? I said yes, but it also happens to be that when we are actually in a bull market, funding is going to remain net positive, right? And yes, when we do reject, when we have corrections, you can notice the correlation between very high funding, because it's the moments when there's not enough, when there's no more liquidity to buy, when everybody that wants to buy is bought, that the market moves down, right? It's not the fact that sellers come in with overwhelming force. It's that the buyers step out of the way. Okay, because there's always selling, there's always buying every minute of every day. Bitcoin is an incredibly liquid market, and it gets more liquid every day. But it's when the buyers step out of the way that price moves down. It's when the sellers step out of the way that price moves up, right? Because they're always battling. So that's how I think about it. Not the overwhelming force of the side that wins, but the lack of grit of the side that loses. Maybe it's because I've always kind of believed in that, like David and Goliath, thing, right? Do whatever you put your mind to. Anyways, we do see a good, nice breakout here. Strong candle body volume. You could have caught this on the hourly, just taking the breakout. A long wick, but again, I think this certainly qualifies to me as a strong candle body close. And then you could have caught this last leg just based on price action alone, I think. But the other thing too, as well as price action, is looking at this area. And I pointed this out, right? I pointed this out on Friday. This is the kind of behavior that I like to see when I'm looking for a breakout. You have a consolidation range and you want to know, is price going to break up or break down? Well, one of the things you can look for is what I look for is multiple tests of the range high, which we have our first test here, our second test here. So 2 tests minimum. Then on the third or fourth or fifth test, you're kind of watching for price to test resistance, come down, form a new swing low, test resistance again, which we do here, and then form a new low that's 50% or greater above the middle of the range, right? So what I mean by that is if you were to draw a line at the bottom of the range here and the top of the range here, and then draw a line in the middle, you're looking for the range to form support above the middle, right? Above the 50% retracement area, which we did all through right here. So we formed a nice retracement, and then we just kind of start stair-stepping up on low volume, which we do, right? We start stair-stepping up here on low volume. Note the low volume on the stair-stepping up, and then that generally leads to a breakout. Doesn't always happen, but it happens more often than it does not, and it's a good thing to just watch for visually because it's very easy to see. Whereas, alternatively, if we start trading and grinding out and this is called grinding out the highs, grinding out the lows. Like wherever price is hanging out at, it wants to keep moving in that direction, right? Object in motion tends to stay in motion. So if price is hanging out at resistance, everybody said, I always hear this. I don't agree with this because it's wrong statistically. When people see price hanging out at resistance, they tend to think, well, look, we've been hanging out here for so long and we just can't get above. We're gonna reject from here. No, like if we were more likely to break down, then we would be hanging out at support, right? We would be grinding support. But if we're grinding resistance, we're probably going to break out. So bullish on Bitcoin. All right. So funding is quite high. VIX fix indicating a lot of volatility here. Again, just kind of confirming the breakout. No exit signal on ISA spot right now. I believe we are going to get one. So again, I think some sideways action here is likely, but I think we're going to continue moving up. I'm not going to be eager to sell this off or take a reversal out of this area. I do not see the signs that I want to see where I would be kind of considering a rejection. Let's take a look over at Ethereum. Ethereum looking good on the weekly chart, starting off with a new weekly candle. Now, I want to point out that we are inside a kind of critical zone where we can see some resistance or some consolidation here on Ethereum. This is an area, this is a point of control that was formed back in 2018 when Ethereum reached its all-time high of $1,600. And so it is possible that we can move sideways here, that we can consolidate here. But again, I want to point out what Bitcoin did at 6,000, just broke right through on the way up from 3,000. And everybody thought, including me, that we were going to see some resistance there. But again, support and resistance don't mean anything in a vacuum. They mean something if something happens there, right? So they're levels to watch for a reaction. They're not really levels to trade blindly. Although there are some, there are times when you can, you're like, okay, I see things that make me want to put on a position. Where should I put on a position? Well, closer to supported resistance. They give you a kind of a roadmap. And again, I pointed this out over the weekend video. I think it's, with what's going on, I think it is more likely than not that we just break through this area, right? So pretty bullish on Ethereum here. Let's go to the daily. That's the weekly. Let's go to the daily. We did actually get, so we, individuals should be in an active Ethereum long as well, or individuals can hold Ethereum spot long. They can continue to hold Ethereum. No exit signal. We actually got a continuation signal last week on the 14th and continuing to appreciate so far. Looking for that breakout, but Ethereum lagging behind Bitcoin today, which again doesn't surprise me. Demand for Ethereum is still high. As I said, as long as you're, listen, this is one thing to know. Like this is when you sell Ethereum. As long as you're seeing, as long as you're seeing news headlines about insane DeFi gains, then you are likely to see Ethereum continue to appreciate, right? Watch for those to taper off. Watch for the news to kind of switch over to token launches, like ICOs, like wait for ICOs to come back. And not immediately. Like ICOs will come back because they're already coming. Like they're coming back now. So if you guys want to tip to what I think is potentially easy money, and it's not financial advice, but potentially easy money, because there's always easy money when you get into about the 75% mark of a bull cycle or the 50% mark. It's going to be DeFi ICOs, right? But you got to do it the right way. You got to do it the right way. I mean, obviously you have to put money in if you want to make real money. But here, I think probably the spray and pray method is better. You diversify your capital around, right? So those are coming back now. I'm seeing huge excitement about those. I know of about 50 projects that are going to be launching over the next 3 months. Most of them are probably garbage, just being honest, but they're going to pump. So, and that's just the environment that we're in. So, I don't want to put a timeline on it. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months until we see a pause in this DeFi craze, and maybe it might not. It might last longer than that. It might be shorter than that. But yeah, as long as demand intrinsically for Ethereum is high, because it's part of the ecosystem for DeFi, I think Ethereum's price is going to continue to rise because there's going to be demand, and we haven't even seen retail mania yet. So we'll just wait for that. Okay. Let's see here. Any trades of the day? Let's go to the trade of the day. Of course, it's kind of hard to cast a bigger light than one BTC. This is oscillated between like being 100% up and 80% up, 77% right now. ETH Bitcoin, which Alex got us into both of these Bitcoin pairing trades, up almost 40%. It's been up over 40%. I would have to say that I want to give some props to Jason here for Hypercash. This is a good trade. Up about 12% for us. He called Hypercash. His PTP system identified this trade. We reviewed it, we liked it, and we signaled it for the group. And Hypercash is performing quite well today. Of course, Bitcoin USD moving up is helping our alt USD trades immensely. Other trade as well. Now, one coin that is moving up that I'm actually quite happy about is NEO. I've liked NEO for a long time. Been involved with the NEO ecosystem for a long time. I love where NEO is. I like the double bottoms. I like the double bottom, not really the double bottom, but the higher low on the higher time frame. I'm pretty bullish on NEO moving forward, and I've tried a couple times to act on that sentiment. Twice I've been wrong, but I think this is it. So positioned on NEO, and I'm ready to ride. And again, we took action. We are in that position, and we're up about 13%. But I'm expecting much more out of NEO here moving forward. So those are probably the trades of the day. Let's go to the chat because I've been largely ignoring it for a while. And let's just see what you guys are on today. So let's just kind of scroll back up here. You guys are just talking a lot in the chat. Thank you guys so much. All right. Okay, a lot. Let me give a shout out here to Alex Ebersberger. We've got Limitless Potential Technologies. Ali, San Yi, Jake Rezio, good to see you, my friend. David Rice, KS Smooth, or K Smooth 7. Brian B, Midwest Attempts and Crypto Jack, as always. AJI, oh, hey, Wendy, good to see you. That is Wendy. Let's see. We've got Ron Legato, as always. Thank you guys for being members here on YouTube. Highly appreciate that. Prophet Bear, Peckham 08. Talking about Numenaire. Let's just go see what it's doing on Tether. Did it get the Coinbase listing today? Mm-hmm. Yep, so Numenaire is now on Coinbase, getting a bit of the Coinbase effect. Wait a second. No, Numenaire is not supported by Coinbase. Crypto Caveman was wearing a CC t-shirt yesterday. Awesome, man. Spin B, golf clap for the guys. You really are some badasses. Thank you so much. DePie guy asking if we guys got shadow banned again. Well, it's not that we got shadow banned again. We're not today. I believe we were showing up in feeds. Jack was informing me. It's just that with all of the Bitcoin scams, like if we, We just have a lower probability of showing up in feeds or doing well. We had a request here for Cosmos from Utah. Mr. Ether, shout out to you, my friend. Philly from Manchester, T-Dub. Says, yeah, that, and you guys are hella legit. Thank you, my friend. Borg's channel up in here. He says, let's go. Love these live streams, Justin. Could you take a moment to discuss backtesting and selecting proper settings for your indicators today? My settings always seem to be way oversensitive. Yeah, I mean, so I think a good approach, like just, a simple answer to that is, take a broad look at what's out there. Indicators come in many, many flavors. You have sensitive indicators, you have, insensitive indicators, you have momentum oscillators, you have threshold indicators, you have breadth indicators, you have indicators that measure all sorts of things. You have volume indicators, volatility indicators. So typically we want to start with something that measures momentum, right? And we want not only to measure momentum, but also direction. So we want something that lets us know when a trend is likely to emerge. And we also want something to let us know what direction that trend is likely to go in. So I don't think that's too much to ask. So perhaps, it's not an uncommon problem, like overly sensitive indicators. I certainly see it a lot in people that come to me with strategies and mentoring sessions. So, generally what helps is just to kind of take a step back from your indicators and just kind of look at what's out there and see if maybe we should focus less on our settings and more on like the indicator itself. So what I mean is, taking a look at what's available out there and looking for better alternatives might be a much faster route to what you want to accomplish than attempting to optimize something that is frustrating you, right? Because ultimately, your indicator should work pretty good out of the box. And then maybe you can make it a little better with settings. But ultimately, the way that we make things better is not by kind of hyper optimizing our settings, because that does lead to curve fitting and really inefficient strategies in real time. And we focus on aspects of our strategy, other indicators for filtration and confirmation, and risk management, and again, trade psychology to really optimize those aspects. That's what I would suggest. Thank you, my friend. Mr. Ether says that pre-recorded video was pure gold. Thank you, my friend. Rhino TD, good to see you. Damien trades to avoid a 9 to 5. Same here. Tenacious V would buy a farm. Smart man. Damien woke up to 2 emails saying TP1 and the TP3 got hit. Felt like $1 million to me. Jess Darkside, thanks for watching on Twitch. Crypto Caveman says there's no solid info on this out there. MetaMask, how secure is it to store funds on? It does not have two-factor authentication. I've used MetaMask for, since 2018. Never had a problem with it. I integrate it with my ledger. So that's what I do for security, which is a pain in the butt sometimes. So so what I do is I have a few, for most things it works just fine. There are some things that just don't communicate well. Sometimes MetaMask doesn't like communicating with the ledger. It's not perfect. Usually it's fine, but there are occasions where I'll run into just frustrating, this will not work type situations. So what I do is I just kind of create like 4 or 5, I've created 4 or 5 just MetaMasks, and with different, Ethereum, with different sources of the Ethereum funds. And, they're relatively good amounts of capital in them, but good amounts of Ethereum in them. But, I just kind of split them up, and then I'll use those for different purposes. So say one I'll use for Uniswap, and then the other I'll use for, other things that I want to do with Ethereum. So I'm not, what I'll say is I have no issues about it. I've had no issues. I've had no security issues. And I don't know a lot of people who have had, a lot of security issues with MetaMask. What I'll suggest though is, generally good digital hygiene and security practices. So for example, operating on a clean computer, on a clean operating system, making sure all of your security updates are done, running a good, just not installing stuff that you shouldn't on that computer, not doing things you shouldn't on that computer. Just keep it clean, keep it clean, especially on the box that you're going to be running MetaMask on. Be aware of common exploits and attacks like keyboard jacking. And, at the end of the day, you can only do as good as you can. And then, one good way to reduce risk is to kind of segregate. So for example, if you want to be like really paranoid, I suppose that you could run MetaMask on like multiple computers or virtual machines to kind of split the risk. So a lot of things you can do. Challenged Investor says, for investment, 50% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum, 30% into 10 alts, and take profit when the alts double in value and move it into BTC. Nice. Rhino's TD's trade today paid for his car insurance for a year. Crypto Rick says, how do you see the market reacting at 14,000? If we break 14,000, do you think alts can keep up? Yeah. I mean, look at what happened when Bitcoin went to 20,000, right? It was just shortly after alts kept up. And it was shortly after that Bitcoin started to dump and alts mooned, like blew up because it was it's the exit pump, right? So we still got the exit pump. Heck, we're not even through like the initial pump. When is Link dying? When nobody wants to buy it anymore. How safe is MetaMask to keep some funds on out of 10? I mean, honestly, I'd have to say, like, as far as safe, I'd give it a 7 because, again, there are features that are lacking that would make me be like, yeah, it's totally secure, bro. But I've been using it for 2 years. I've had no problem with it. But I will say this again, like I'm certainly not the expert here, right? Like that's not my area of expertise. Like I know best practices and I certainly have, again, people that I talk to that advise me and help out. Like my, for example, like, Ben keeps my computer clean and like makes sure everything's fine. And we just do updates and we run all the right things that we're supposed to do. So as far as using Ethereum, I use safe websites. I use the internet safely to the best of my ability. I just practice good security practices. I'm not an expert, but I'm also pretty knowledgeable and I just do things the right way. Like I have systems, I have routines. I don't deviate from those systems. I don't do sketchy things. I don't click on sketchy things. I don't download sketchy things. I only go through things that I've verified or trusted with people that I know that utilize them. So I would just, what I would recommend is, I'll tell you who is an expert though, the people over at Spectre Security Coin. So if you, I think this would be a good opportunity for them to highlight what they're good at, which is security. And they are blockchain experts. They know a lot about all of this. So I would recommend if you're really kind of paranoid about it and you really want to get some good information on it, it's not expensive. Go over there, get a security consultation, ask them, right? You can join their community. You can talk to them. They'd be more than happy to help you out. You can go to spectre.krakencryptocurrency.com to go to their website and use the code GETCRACKING, GETCRACKING at checkout. You get a 10% discount on a security consultation. They have those. I think that would be a great place to start. Justin, can you show us how to do a limit orders on Uniswap? You can't do limit orders on Uniswap. You buy at it's the price it's at, man, and it depends on the volume of your. It depends on the volume of what you want to buy. It's not a centralized exchange where you can just set the price. Diagonal lives matter. Stop it. Yeah, you can do 1-inch exchange. There's a few other decentralized exchanges where you can do it. Do I advise a new trader to trade crypto, or should they start with Forex or something else? I don't think it really matters what you trade. There's going to be nuances to anything that you trade. I trade Forex a little differently than I trade crypto. I trade ETFs differently than I trade those, and I trade CFDs differently than I trade those. So, it doesn't really matter where you start. It just, I would recommend starting with just what you're interested to trade, right? And I think crypto is certainly going to offer the most gains, but also the highest risk. So I think that in a way, crypto is one of the better things to start out trading. Logistically, you have the easiest access to purchasing anything. You know, you have very liquid markets. I'm just stuck on this Numenera. Why am I just sitting here on Numenera? Let's go back to Bitcoin. Like at least look at something exciting while I'm looking at chat. All right, sorry. Let me try to keep up with chat as we're going. So I'm gonna skip over all that. Thank you, Ben, for posting that that link there, right there. Okay, let's go to, what are we gonna do here? Let's take a chart request. So let me pull up requests. Let me look up requests here and see what we got on the audience engagement tab. Okay, I talked about Borg's channel. And Samex said, funding rates are getting higher. How much have you seen before? How much more can funding rates rise before a big rejection? I mean, there's not a cap. There's not a cap on high funding rates can rise. So generally, let's take a look. Let's go to this chart. Sorry, the chart we were just on. Let's go to the daily. Excuse me. All right, so over here, we can see price moving up, and we can see that funding gets as high as 11%, 0.11, and price actually continues to move up. So we go back even further. See price, yeah, about that. We seem to see it, you know, kind of peak out around that 0.1, 0.12 range. Although over here, man, we get all the way up to 0.34. And guess what? We continued to move up there. So that was that peak back in June 2019. This is just on Bybit. So I would say, yeah, I would certainly say we've got plenty of room to move higher. I mean, the funding rate right now is like 0.08. Yeah. So it's high, but not relatively high. So we got plenty of room to go. Can I forward this? Are we due for some sort of crash given the election in a few months? I do think that what will be construed as a crash is a potential to happen. It's going to be a correction, in my opinion. I think that's what's going to happen. Yes, as I said this earlier, I said there's a few fundamentals when I was doing my Bitcoin analysis. I said there's a few events coming up that can trigger a market sell-off, and not just in crypto, but market-wide. Equities, cryptocurrency, commodities. The only thing that will relatively be unscathed is currency pairs, because Forex is in a sense recession-proof. So, but certainly you'll see currencies devalue likely across the board, or at least the weaker ones. Or you'll see kind of a new world order of currencies for a while. But I don't think it's going to last because I think that the markets are going to continue to move up. They have to avoid the fundamental issue of excess money entering into the system. So the first issue that could trigger that collapse is the next wave of stimulus or quantitative easing that the Fed is going to do. And the second thing is the election. But do I think it's going to happen? I think it's either going to happen at the end of August or it's going to happen in November following the election. Micah Sergel says there's so many stable coins now, though. Would people really bail into the alts the same way after the all-time high like last time? Yes. All right, so I'm going to do Corn Holio's request here because I've gotten quite a few requests recently for XLM. So I do want to take a look at XLM here. All right, so first off, let's look at the weekly here on XLM and just kind of get a roadmap for where we are. Okay, so, I mean, this is a good example of a sweep, or a spring, excuse me, I'm sorry, in Wyckoff theory. So we can see that XLM had formed a nice little base here, and just trading in this range, we formed a lower low, You could consider this like a weekly 3 drives pattern where we drive, pump, right? It's 3 drives and then a pump. Good consistent resistance right here at the 8 cent mark. that we were successfully able to break above. And of course, that was previous support. So let's look at where our current level of resistance is. I would say right around here. Yep. Right around the 14-cent mark. And then we have the potential to run into some resistance up here at previous support around 18 cents. Then we're just looking at highs. And typically when we break above this, this stops mattering, because then we're just in a pronounced bullish trend, and then you get mania. You get the euphoria cycle, which when you're in the euphoria cycle, support and resistance aren't things. So I'd say here that XLM largely looks good. We have successfully broken out of our bottom zone here. If we go down below 8 cents again, I would consider that broadly a buying opportunity. I think that XLM has just as much opportunity to appreciate as everything else. The only thing that would curtail my desire to pick up XLM down there would be the nature of the market. Like, for some reason, have we entered into a bearish trend? In which case, you really want to wait until you see signs of life. Bottoming, price moving up. So for example, right, you see price moving down, you see price largely moving down, and then you see a sign of life here where price moves up, breaks resistance, and comes down. Well, obviously buying up here is not a good place to buy when you see it reject from resistance, but picking up XLM here at around 8 cents wouldn't have been a bad idea. You would have had to hold it through some drawdown, quite a bit of drawdown, but ultimately it was not a terrible place to buy. And then of course you have multiple opportunities down here as price moves lower. But again, you see signs of life, you see signs of buying interest. Which eventually led to, as you just wait for a bullish trend. That happened now. So individuals that bought at 8 cents aren't out in the cold. They're actually in profit now. So anyways, just from a roadmap perspective, I could see XLM moving up here to 14 cents. We'd have to see how it reacts there. If it breaks through, the next place to watch for would be 18 cents. We're in the... I want to say we're broadly in an accumulation area of XLM, like on the long term. Not the best accumulation area. The best accumulation area was down here. But if we are able to break above 14 cents, then we'll be able to consider anything from 8 to 14 cents, kind of a broad range. And there's a lot of white space here. We've only traded here for maybe like not too long, like 4 months. So again, I don't really consider this. Want to be a little neutral on this, right? Just from a roadmap perspective, things are looking good. We're moving up, good consistent green candles, broadly tracking the market. We had a good weekly close last week and a good open so far, forming a doji, but again, that weekly just opened, so we can't really analyze it on that merit. So I think that we have the potential to move up here to 14. I do see support at 8 cents. All right, let's go to the daily. And all right, so we are in a bullish trend. We're in a bullish daily trend. We do have a continuation signal on the daily here. Yep. We do have a continuation signal on the daily. We have IFT RSI crossing the red threshold, which is actually a good thing. That lets us know that what can happen when price becomes overbought is that we enter into, it's fuel in the gas tank, right? A lot of individuals want to sell overbought conditions, but it depends on, you have to correlate that to what market are we in, what cycle of the market we're in. And we're currently in a bullish phase. So when things become overbought, you're going to get FOMO buying that comes in from other individuals and breakout trading that's occurring. We are forming a new swing high. Let's see here. So if you take the continuation signal, that's valid. If I were to look at this with just a bit of discretion, I would, prefer to see a pullback. I always kind of prefer in these situations taking, reversal baseline bounces or reversals within the trend or buying on pullbacks. They just tend, they're just more optimum entries, and that the statistics are on your side, that the probability of price moving up because everything is bullish is good. So when you see price moving down, you generally view those as buying opportunities. Man, we had some attempted distribution on XLM here. Look at those wicks, but they've got bought back up quick. Yeah, so, I think XLM looks not too bad here. I'm not going to lie. We're not too far away from that 14-cent level of resistance. I think we can look for a trade here to the upside. XLM's not really on my watch list, and perhaps it should be. I just kind of group it in over there with like XRP, something that's done well, but it just doesn't really excite me. I don't see anything fantastic coming out of Stellar Lumens. And I could be wrong about that, but I'm not fundamentally excited about XLM. I think it's probably going to go down into the kind of trash heap of history as here lies XLM. It really didn't do that many things. But It's 105. So again, I do see a continuation signal. There is a valid entry here on the daily with the following metrics. Targeting 12 cents, 13 cents, and 14 cents with a stop loss at 10 cents. Let's hammer in on those. 12.4, 13.2, and 14 flat, and 10 flat is where I'd have the stop loss for this trade. If I were to get stopped out on this, I would still be looking for that opportunity for a re-entry on a pullback as long as price is able to stay above 9 cents. So good luck, trade safely, and please make your own trading decision on this one. All right. Alex wants coins from the swamp. Scrooge McDuck, shout out to you, my friend. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. Alex, that's definitely your strong suit, my friend. I wouldn't even know what to look at over there. Okay. Caveman said he made a 5x on Orchid, just doing exactly what Justin said earlier. Get in accumulation zone, wait till pump, sell. Yeah, you know, I like Orchid. I liked their team. I got to meet with them in San Francisco. They threw a pretty nice party. Should have bought more. All right. All right, let's go take a look at some non-crypto charts. I know, boring, but they matter. So the first chart, the charts that I want to look at is I want to look at gold, obviously. So again, unfortunately, gold has broken the super trend here on the daily. I do need to see price back above 2075, so we're gonna have to take a breakout trade on gold for the re-entry. We do see gold marching up, right? We do see gold marching up, and I don't want to say, you know. So listen, I'll just be frank with you guys. My sentiments last week were that gold looks, you know, following that big sell. This concerns me, right? This concerns me. So I'm watching gold pretty carefully. I'm not overly perturbed that it's kind of charging up, because this does fit in line with what I was talking about with fundamentals. So if we see the Fed's round of quantitative easing come in at the end of August, beginning of September, kind of when summer ends, and people think that life's going to go back to normal, then gold and Bitcoin are going to correct. And I think gold is potentially acting as the canary in the coal mine here. So I think we've got a few more weeks, maybe even a month, of good upside here. But if the Fed's quantitative easing round and stimulus round do cause a market sell-off, then gold is certainly acting as the canary in the coal mine here. And what would help confirm this is if we form a lower high on gold. If we form a lower high on gold, if we form a lower high or a high that is less than, let's say 2070, then that's going to be a sign of a shift in market structure. And we'd be expecting a new low following that. And potentially I'll be looking at, what I'll be doing is I'll be looking at my positions, and I'll be looking to move into something of safety, right? I'll be looking to get into a pseudo hedged position and then hedge as I see confirmation that price is going to begin moving down. So I think there is a possibility to take gold up here, but I don't want to. I don't see a setup. This is not in my wheelhouse. We've broken the baseline on the daily, so there's no reason for me to be in this. I can't justify this. All the indicators have turned bearish. This would have to be a discretionary position. And since I hold gold as an investor, there's no reason for me to really dilly-dally with my trading with something that's not in my wheelhouse, because those things typically don't make me money the way that I want them to. So again, watch for that lower high on gold. If that forms, I would begin to be concerned, not just for gold, but for all markets. Silver as well. So we're looking a little bit more bullish here. I think that we have the potential to actually continue to break above and form new highs here on silver for different reasons. Those are related to liquidity. But silver trading at about 27.5 cents, 27.4. No signal for re-entry on the daily. Of course, there was a beautiful reversal baseline bounce trade set up here. And let me take a look at... Not a bottom feeder trade. And time transformation is going to be hinting at a reversal within the trend setup here real soon. This is a setup that Alex likes to play. So a bottoming above 0 right here, where we get that TT crossover in a bullish trend. So it's good momentum oscillator behavior, I think specifically was the words he used last week. So I think that we can actually, as you can see, it's gold here. Silver is on my watch list for an active position. Palladium. Palladium's still in a bullish trend, doing some distribution right here, or what could be considered a distributive pattern. We can get breakout from here. We do see we can see Palladium continue to move up here. I'm on the sidelines for Palladium right now. I'm not looking for excess risk in markets that I'm not sure about. But I will be watching this. I'll take a signal. I have no problem taking a signal. I don't have any reason to not take one or be overly wary. I'm just kind of cautious of this pattern, of this distribution, potentially distributive pattern that I see us putting in, and just not going to be taking any discretion with Palladium. I'll only be taking full trades, fully confirmed trades. Platinum as well. Platinum I am a little iffy about because of the production in the United States. So I'll take a confirmed signal, but Platinum's been doing something weird here for the last week. So, all right, nothing else fundamentally that I really want to look at or that I'm interested in. So let's take a look at what our indices are doing. First thing we're going to look at is the DIA, the ETF for the Dow Jones. And the Dow Jones was, again, I'm still long on the Dow. I've been long in the Dow since here, and writing this up. We're moving sideways. I think the Dow is going to break up from here unless something fundamentally shifts over the next few days. We are getting a little bit of drawback today. And we did open down. We traded all the way up. Did we form a new high? I thought we did 280.16. Yeah, we did form a new high. So I think we are going to continue to push up on the Dow. And let's look at the triple Qs, see what the NASDAQ is doing today. Of course, the NASDAQ opening up strong, gapping to the upside and appreciating. This is responsible for most of the appreciation. I think the NASDAQ is going to continue to move up until the fundamentals come in that push the market down. And then I'm long on the SPY as well. As soon as I can find it. There it is. Long on the SPY as well. Again, gapping up to the upside and pushing up. Not a whole lot of momentum. Not a huge sign of strength, but again, forming a new high and gapping up. So I think we're going to continue to move up broadly for the rest of the week. We'll see. Tuesday and Wednesday tend to be a little, we might have a little bit of blah. We might have a Tuesday, Wednesday blah day. So overall, listen, I think the markets look good. I think we're going to continue to head up. I don't see anything impending that's going to cause us to sell off this week. We might see some consolidation for the next few days, followed by more markup and price appreciation. It's really not until the end of the month, the beginning of September, that I'm going to be cautious and watching for a potential market reversal. And again, gold, if you want to know, gold is the asset that I'll be watching the closest for because I think that it's probably the most relevant. Have you guys bought Chainlink yet? I mean, just go buy one. Like, it'll be funny. Like, buy at the market high, and you'll just have that in your wallet. Like, oh yeah, I finally bought Link at the high. Can't be neutral on a moving train, guys. I will look at one DeFi coin. This is You're in Finance on FTX. Looking good. Just stepping right up, right? I don't think people should buy here. Wait for the same kind of retracement and buy there. I do want to look at Verge. This was an interesting one for me. So why do I not? Oh, I think it's over here. Let me look at my Verge chart here. So there were two ways I was looking at Verge playing out. And unfortunately, it played out the way I was worried it would. So I charted out Verge. We're kind of trading in this broadening wedge to the downside or descending channel, however you want to call it. And yes, I pulled out the fibs and all the stops, guys. Yes, it happens sometimes. And, this is something that Alex had been very bullish on, and I'm bullish on Verge too. I think it's going to pump as well with the rest of the market, and we could see it turn around right here. But unfortunately, this trade that we've put on has hit the stop loss. And again, we were looking for a breakout of this channel that didn't happen. We actually rejected from that. Now we have pulled back about 50% of the trading range right here. Actually, a little bit less than 50% of the trading range. So again, we can see this as throwback, and we can still break out from this level. So just watching Verge closely. I like Verge. Well, I should say I don't like it, but if I'm looking for something to pump, it would be Verge. So let's see what happens here. Feelings on Kava. I think Kava's great. Yeah, they've got a fantastic team. I sat down with them at San Francisco. In fact, Brian Kerr, who is the CEO of Kava Labs, he did the He was on the Breaking Bitcoin Bits intro today. So yeah, you know, good coin, good potential, and good price too. Let's see here. I feel like I am missing one of my windows here. It's not Chart X. Oh, it's Uniswap.vision. Yeah, that's how I look at Uniswap charts. Sorry. Look at CRV, Curve Finance. Yeah, Curve Finance ain't nothing new. Ooh, Curve. Okay. Curve's pretty cheap here. Well, relatively. Yeah, so I've heard a lot about Curve Finance. I'd say if you were looking, I don't know how this is going to play out, but I want to watch here. I want to see a sign of strength. So I would say I would watch Curve here. And when we're able to form, let's say this is the new swing low. As soon as we're able to form a new high, I would buy the pullback to the next swing low. If you're looking for an opportunity to get some DeFi in your life. Let's go look at the chart on TradingView, see if we can get some more information though before I speak out my booty. CRV. Crypto only. We got Curve on finance. Yeah. So immediate launch, selling off. Again, the way to do this, I think, with something that freshly lists, and again, Compound is a great example. Let's look at the comp listing on Coinbase, right? Right. We watched this for a while. What happened, right? Price made a new swing low, then price came up, formed a new swing high, and I'm going to be buying comp on this pullback. It's the way to do it. Mbate says, first stream back since a major storm. I think I'm missing one of my windows. No wonder why it took so long for him to start streaming again. Yeah, I am missing. No, I'm not. I'm not missing one of my windows. There is a hole in one of my windows here in my office. So that's kind of funny that you said that. Check out Trust Swap, please. What's their ticker? I don't know what Trust Swap's ticker is. Get out. Get out of there. Let's go to CoinGecko. I know a lot of people are talking about Trust Swap right now. It's Swap. Okay. It's being shilled on a lot of YouTube channels, which doesn't surprise me because look at the price. And of course, a lot of information comes in on Trust Swap now. I wouldn't buy Trust Swap here. Sorry, guys. Like I will always say this. You're going to get the same thing out of me. If I see something that's been pumping and we just hit a new swing high, it's not a good time to buy. It could push up. It could absolutely crank from here, but you want to see a pullback. You want to see something. You want to see some edge, right? Like buying a top is not an edge, right? So if your strategy doesn't translate broadly over a long period of time, then it's just not a good strategy. You can get lucky with individual instances, but it's just not a good strategy for success long term. And so you should only do things that consistently work, that work consistently over time. And I know that buying something that's high, whether or not it's got gas left in the tank, it's not a good strategy. So I'd like to see a pullback here on swap, especially kind of with the shilling that I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into Ripple kind of triple. Tic Tac Crypto, good to see you, my friend. Should we start dumping our alts into BTC considering how bullish it is? I'm a bit late. I think that you should be consistently taking profits into Bitcoin and then protecting your Bitcoin stack with with extreme prejudice. Yes. As far as altcoins really stopping the train here, I don't think that that's going to imminently happen. Everything will move with the rest of the market. If the market does end up having a significant correction here in a few weeks or a month, then altcoins are going to dump harder than anything else. Okay, let's take a few more chart requests here. MDP says, let's take a look at Zcash. All right, let's look at Zcash. Got the halvening coming up. Let's look at ZEC. I'm going to look at ZEC USD. On Bitfinex, I do like Zcash here. I talked about Zcash, like a month ago, weeks ago, liking Zcash. It has moved up well. It's in a weekly bullish trend. Just broke above and formed a new swing high. So breaking above previous resistance around $75. Our next level of resistance is going to come in around 123. And we are in an interesting... Oh, stop it. Let's get rid of super trend here. You're pissing me off. All right, sorry. Let's zoom out here on Zcash. I think I might actually have this one charted out already. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Yep, here we go. All right. Yeah, we got the Zcash halvening coming up in November. Let's see. Yeah. So we did just... Oh, this is Zcash Bitcoin. Let's go back to ZEC USD. Let's look at this in dollar valuation. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so we did just kind of hit that level. It's a little low. It's lower than the previous high that we formed over here on 124.66, but we're right in this kind of consolidation. We see a little bit of resistance here. It's an order block, and we see it form here, the distribution. This is really the initiation of selling that led to this final leg to the downside. I would be cautious here on Zcash, just because of where we're at. And just that glance at the ZEC BTC chart as well gave me a bit of caution. We to be quite honest with you though, there's a little bit of mixed sentiment here. On one hand, on the BTC chart, which is the real kind of coin you want to watch, that's what you're looking, that's what you're watching for. On one hand, we had an attempt to break above resistance, and we've now had a pullback in a bullish trend. So you kind of want to trade that. And we broke above this kind of descending trend line. I don't know quite why I have that on the chart, but it's something to point out. So yeah, I would be, listen, I'm always going to err on the side of caution. I would like to see Zcash break above $130. If you're kind of looking for it to enter into a more pronounced like mania or bullish trend, right? I think that we've just formed a new swing high in dollar valuation. And although if Bitcoin continues to move up, the dollar value is going to rise. Relative to Bitcoin right now, it's holding its own okay. But this is not the sign of strength. It's kind of funny because the USD chart, you don't want to trade. And the BTC chart, you want to buy the pullback. So in that case, this is when I flip from discretion to strategy, all right? So I'll merely say this then. So looking at this BTC chart where I do want to buy the pullback, I do see that the trend is still bullish above 0.0066 sats. If we close below that, we'll be in a bearish trend. We do not have any continuation signal. So we could look for a reversal within the trend because we do see IFT RSI is oversold. So let's go and look at something like ISASpot, or you guys can use Minx or time transformation. I'm just looking at ISASpot on the bottoms, it's called here. Done a fantastic job. We're quite a bit of ways away from calling a bottom on ISASpot. CM Williams is indicating a potential bottom here. My go-to would be something like time transformation. So, yeah. Listen, I do want to recommend caution, but there's a lot here to like. You got the halvening coming up. I really do like Zcash. It's a strong privacy coin. You know, I'm not gonna do the privacy coins got to pump someday meme. I'm not going to do that because they don't. There's nothing special about privacy coins. I don't think that privacy coins are as private as people think that they are, or as they're made out to be. I don't think there's anything necessarily special about privacy coins, because they haven't had a lot of scrutiny, to be fair with you. It's often, things are often like, yeah, we do this. And people just believe them because nobody's really looking at them. Then you get 10 million people using your product, and people look under the hood and they're like, oh, just don't do that. Again, not necessarily taking a stab at Zcash, just at the sector in general. Yeah, so I would wait for some continuation on the ZEC BTC chart. Looking at the USD chart again, I want to see some caution here. I'd like to see Zcash deal with this level of resistance. But if we're able to burst through, again, we can continue to appreciate for the next several weeks and longer. Like, the market doesn't have to have the pullback that happens at the end of August, beginning of September. It's just something that I'm cautious about. Again, watching gold for that as well. So Zcash not special in that regard. But as far as a tradable asset, as far as this trade setup, there are a few setups that I see. Again, kind of buying the pullback in a bullish market is certainly a setup. Waiting for that reversal within the trend signal, whatever indicator you're utilizing for that, or waiting for kind of a momentum continuation signal, which for me is going to take a while. Like, I'm going to need to see this BTC chart probably above 0.008, because as you can see, the indicators have turned quite bearish. In fact, we're oversold on the IFT RSI, which can last a while, and overbought on the USD chart. So just kind of interesting on the weekly time frame. So just kind of interesting here. Now on the daily, the USD chart has had a bit of a pullback, and we are actually seeing a sign of strength here on the daily. So there is also kind of a speculative opportunity to at least come back here and test these highs, which is about a 9% trade. So some opportunities here on Zcash. But, really, if I wanted to throw some significant capital behind Zcash, which I do have a position in Zcash, by the way, I do hold some Zcash. I would, if I'm looking for entering here, I'd like to see price above, what did I say, 130? That's too much, isn't it? No, you don't want to wait till above 130, because there's going to be opportunity cost. I would say, listen, as you can see, we're moving sideways after a push to the upside. If we put in a good green candle here, it would be a sufficient sign of strength to have more confidence in the position. That's an interesting chart. This one's making me think. I really have to kind of go back to first principles. So again, kind of a good rule here, right? And this, again, this is going to happen to you all the time when you're kind of looking at discretion in your setups, right? If you run into a chart that makes you think, right? You don't want to do that. You want to set up to be as clear and objective as possible. So, I'll tell you what I do, right? Like, when I get off the stream and, say I look at this chart a little bit more, and I come back to this evening, and I'm thinking to myself, Justin, man, that Zcash chart looked interesting. I'm sure there's a setup here. Let's go look. Again, what I will eventually do, because it's routine for me, is I will look over to my side where, I'll pull up in my journal, which has my trading rules on it. And that's what I always do when I'm conflicted about a trade, because that trading journal tells me, if this trade is not a setup, don't take it. So if you run into a chart that makes you think, which you'll run into them all the time, at the end of the day, you need to come back to strategy, right? What is your primary strategy to make money in the market? And again, you can have discretionary systems that are built on rules and logic that do require an input of discretion. But what you're looking for is something of an objective entry trigger, right? Based on something that you can measure, right? It's not mechanical in the sense that if this, then that, but it is pseudo-mechanical in the sense that your discretion is a limited input into the system rather than a maximum input into the system. So when you run into charts that confuse you, go back to what you know, come back to home base, go back to strategy, because the entire point of trading is not to be right, it's to make money. So okay. Goss and Nicholas asks for SXP USDT. And then I'm gonna have to, I gotta get to the news. We got some good requests. EOS, Ethereum Classic, Metal, Chili's, XTZ. I'm sorry guys, I can't look at them all. Got to get to the news, and then I got to get to some meetings. SXP, USDT, relatively fresh chart here on Binance, fresh listing, nice price appreciation, and our first pullback, bullish super trend here. I don't dislike this chart. I think that you could buy on. I would put some bids at 250, see if they get hit. I like that. Bids at 250 and see if they get hit. We might even wick down and retest this area at 2, but I think you might be all right if price if price pops back up. Yeah, certainly the setup I'd be looking for here is the reversal within the trend or the reversal baseline bounce at 250. And again, not a whole lot of information on there. So as SXP, can I get any more data on this? It's been on KuCoin. How long has it been on Bittrex? Okay. All right, now we got a little bit more data. It's been listed on Bittrex a little bit longer. Yeah, listen. So I'm not a huge fan of the stair-stepping candles down. But they're not necessarily stair-stepping now. I mean, these are the candles that you're going to see kind of at the end of a trend. Like good sell-side volume. But you still, I mean, we are above the super trend and price has largely been moving up. We just formed a new swing high and you buy the pullback. And here, just looking at the BTC chart, that's roughly between where we are right now. 000-25991 and 000-182. So you got a pretty wide range. It's pretty volatile. You got about a 30% range. But you keep your position size appropriate relative to your stop loss, and you look for that. Now looking at this XXP BTC chart, we've actually got more room to the downside. So I would be, we can get a pullback here, or excuse me, this can be the extent of the pullback, but I would watch this for some sign of strength, right? Again, reversal within the trend signal, or if you want to buy the low, then you got to shoot for that reversal baseline bounce and set those bids where they need to go. All right, guys. Now, let's take a brief moment here. And how do I do this? Blink. We're going to look at some news here in just a second before we do that. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. We're not ending. I'm going to take a brief break and get set up for the news. So I'll be back. There's some fundamentals that I want to talk about. We're going to be talking about DeFi, of course. We're going to be talking about the trends in DeFi, kind of where we see it going, and also the possibility of seeing DeFi, everything that it does, everything that it wants to do, operating on Bitcoin as a secondary layer, and some of the innovations that are occurring in that space. So stay tuned if you're interested in kind of the future of the markets, especially DeFi and developments in Bitcoin. A lot of individuals think that there's not a lot of development on Bitcoin, but they don't realize that Bitcoin is the most actively developed coin out there. Anyways, but if you guys please take a moment to support the channel if you are enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to stay up to date, and smash up the likes, guys. We really do appreciate that. It helps us more than you realize and only takes you a moment. If you guys are over on Twitch or DLive, you can support us with a follow or a subscription over there as well. And make sure, if you haven't already, to join our Discord at discord.krakencryptocurrency.com to stay up to date with everything that's going on and begin just, I guess, being a part of the community, right? It's a pretty awesome place to be. I'm not going to lie. It's where it's going down. And again, huge shout out to all. We've seen a ton of new members come in over the last month. So I really like it. I really like to see it. These are fun times to be in. These are real times to be in. There's a lot of money to be made. But I want to say this, and as I said this multiple times, I'm conservative by nature, right? And I think that's why I've been able to make money, hold on to my money, and do well with my money. And you're gonna see a lot of stuff in bull cycles. It's kind of like going to a festival, right? You're gonna see all kinds of crazy stuff that you're gonna tell your friends about later. But you got to be cautious, man. You got to look out for yourself in these times. People are out to, profit. And again, as I said, on the opposite side of a trade, there needs to be somebody on the other side. All right. So for a buyer, there needs to be a seller. For a seller, there needs to be a buyer. So all of these people, and there's a lot of them, shilling their bags, shilling their altcoins, talking about the next DeFi that's going to pump, telling you they need to get into this, or this, take all that with a huge grain of salt, right? And focus less on the chart, focus more on your strategy, develop a strategy, right? You can, even if it's not something like PTP, if it's not as methodological, if it's not as time tested and proven, you can still develop a better than worse strategy to buy coins. Like even if you're buying on pumpamentals, you can develop a strategy like, okay, I'm not going to buy on a big green candle, right? That's a pretty good strategy, right? If you avoid buying on big green candles that do not fit breakout conditions out of consolidation ranges, that's the only exception, you will do better than you would buying on big green candles, right? So just a suggestion, come back to home base. When you run into situations that confuse you, when you're unsure about what decision to make with your investments, with your trades, then just take a step back from the charts. Take a walk, do some push-ups, call a friend, phone a friend, and make a better choice, right? Make the choice when you are rested, when you are, when you're in a good condition, right? The worst kind of conditions happen out of fear and greed and loneliness and just all the negative emotions that come with trading. And trading does, and the markets do significantly affect us psychologically. So be aware of that. Make a decision. Stay healthy. Be in a healthy place. Be in a healthy mindset, because this is a good time to be realizing all the fruit of your labor, all the work that you've been putting in, building strategies, studying the markets, brushing up on your TA, reading, developing, studying, becoming better. This is the time to shine, because this is the time when liquidity is sloshing around. There's lots of money in the markets, things are getting bid up, and there's a lot of money to be made. But just be responsible, keep yourself healthy, and again, have an end goal, right? Have an end goal in mind. Like, where are we going to go? Why am I doing this? What do I want to buy with all of this money? How much money do I want to make? Is there a number at which I'm going to step out of the market? And why have I been looking at this chart for 15 minutes? You have to ask yourself those questions. So thank you guys for the support, for all the love. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Until then, going to hear a brief word from our friends over at Bybit. Fantastic exchange. If you guys want to get started trading leveraged products, I couldn't recommend a better exchange to start on. And then we'll be right back, guys. Let's go.
Can't catch a break over on BitMEX with all the wicks? Try a better alternative at bybit.crackingcryptocurrency.com and rest easy for a change.
All right, so here we go. Okay, now I do not exactly have this scaled the way that I want to. So apologies for that, but you guys can broadly see what the heck I'm talking about. So I got an article here from CoinDesk Up, and it is Bitcoin DeFi may be unstoppable. But what does it look like? So one of the best funded development firms in the world, it is almost one of the quietest, really, with what it's up to. But today, we're going to explore how they're gearing up to use the Lightning Network in order to bring a sort of DeFi-like functionality to Bitcoin itself. Now, this conglomerate is known as DG Labs, and it features both an investment arm as well as a software development business. And back in late July, they open-sourced a proposal for what they call self-sovereign derivatives, self-sovereign derivatives trading directly on the Bitcoin blockchain using the Lightning Network. Now, the series of Lightning Network powered contracts aims to turn the digital asset Bitcoin into a form of programmable money, dramatically scaling its functionality into a wider array of uses. So again, positioning Bitcoin very much like Ethereum is positioned. Now, their proposal, DG Labs, for putting a DeFi spin on Bitcoin is much different than what's currently available. What's currently available relies on wrapping representations of Bitcoin on the Ethereum network. For instance, you can wrap Ether as well. But as DG Labs researcher, I am going to attempt to pronounce this. Ichiro Kuwahara explained to CoinDesk in this interview, he's been working on integrating what's known as DLC, or discrete log contracts, into payment channels on the Lightning Network. And they're able to establish a large number of contracts without having to broadcast those transactions to the blockchain. So again, settling on a second layer. Now, as he describes, the DG Lab software is going to use the Lightning Network in order to execute business or DeFi logic without clogging up the base layer blockchain, verifying every single transaction, like the Ethereum network is clogged up right now with the base layer confirming every single DeFi transaction. They need a second layer on Ethereum, maybe. Indeed, one of the hottest demands of crypto enthusiasts as of late has been to bring some sort of decentralized finance functionality to Bitcoin itself. But there are a lot of opinions on exactly how we should approach this opportunity, whether we should, soft fork new features in, or whether we should use secondary layers powered by that DLC, that discrete log contracts technology. And of course, not everyone is a fan of using the Lightning Network for Bitcoin's smart contract functionality. Bitcoin veteran Jeremy Rubin launched his crypto startup Judica earlier this year, and he said that second layer solutions like Blockstream's Liquid Network, which allow companies like Crypto Garage, for example, to experiment with smart contracts on Bitcoin, overcomplicates the construction of these features. So obviously mixed opinions no matter where you go. Let's see here. We'll stay right here. Now, he kind of went on to say that he thinks it's possible to do it a lot simpler and that it could even be accomplished on-chain. And so his proposal is utilizing a Bitcoin soft fork that would optimize the base layer for smart contracts. He talked about how it could allow them to construct derivative contracts that could be generated without you even being online. They could be emailed to you, for example, text message, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever. These days, both ends of a Lightning transaction need to participate at roughly the same time for the transaction to go through, meaning both participants need to be online. The channel needs to be open. But Rubin says there is a way to make it so that only one party can execute a consensual transaction. Public keys will allow the other party to see, whenever they come online, proof of everything about the deal. But getting back to the DeFi development work at DG Labs, they raised over $93 million in 2019 in order to bring this sort of functionality to Bitcoin. And according to their recent blog post, they're now raising money as a second round of investment here in 2020. They have a senior manager, Shunichi Kumoro, explained how DG Labs is working with key players in researching this new field of DLC and how they want to show they want to show that cryptocurrency, they want to show the wider world and the cryptocurrency world just what is possible on Bitcoin using a peer-to-peer derivatives contract. Another startup that we mentioned earlier, Crypto Garage, is developing for Blockstream's Liquid technology and is also exploring ways to bring smart contract software to Bitcoin users. The Crypto Garage lead engineer is I can't pronounce his first name, but it's Legili, explains that their approach defines every possible outcome of each contract and creates a transaction for each of the outcomes. That transaction then is unlocked with one of the outcome conditions being met or with mutual agreement between the contract participants, right? So it's kind of a minority report, right, of possibilities. Jeremy Rubin pointed out that these Bitcoin DeFi projects are very different than the approach that Ethereum takes. According to him, while Uniswap is great, they tokenize their liquidity into pools, while what the development in Bitcoin's DeFi sector is focusing on is more of a peer-to-peer approach, finding a way for people to work directly with one other individual, with one other participant in a channel. Not to mention, these Bitcoin DeFi projects aren't using representations of Bitcoin. Instead, they want to enable users to complete tasks directly with Bitcoin, not tokenized Bitcoin. According to him, there's about 20 groups in the Bitcoin community actively working on tools, applications, and specifications for this discrete log contract technology, which seeks to allow traders the opportunity to engage in derivative contracts without involving an actual centralized exchange. So big thumbs up to that. So while Ethereum's DeFi development does seem to be attracting all of the capital and excitement, Bitcoin's own DeFi experiments seem to be comparatively modest in regard. But despite that, industry veterans are warning not to underestimate Tokyo's Bitcoin development scene, which is home to the so-called self-sovereignty experiment, which has birthed firms like BTC Pay, DG Labs, and now it's the hub of research into this new wave of DLC technology, which its proponents argue can empower Bitcoin to a come-from-behind win in the race for cryptocurrency decentralized finance supremacy. But still, Crypto Garage's Gilly did tame expectations. They always do this. He said, once there are enough people to create a real market, we might offer services or tools that we can monetize. But right now, focusing on the R&D. Been hearing that from Samson Mao for the longest time. But at this point, they're merely trying to raise awareness and attract attention by demonstrating what can be done with Bitcoin, given enough demand for such products. So, if you thought Bitcoin wasn't seeing any development on the DeFi front in order to bring more elaborate functionality to the leading cryptocurrency, consider yourself corrected. So, good, interesting stuff. A lot of development happening on Bitcoin. It's going to be interesting. I like the approach. It's always been a peer-to-peer thing, right? Bitcoin has this peer-to-peer ethos that Ethereum doesn't have. Ethereum has certainly gone for the pool method. It'll be interesting to see what the market likes more, but we cannot ignore the issues with Ethereum. The blockchain is clogged up. All of these transactions do go on the base layer. And so Ethereum has run into the very nail that it attempted to throw at Bitcoin, which is the entire scaling debate. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the future. I think that it can be done. I think that it will be done. It's certainly inconceivable to me that we do not get this functionality on Bitcoin. The blockchain will scale to accommodate whatever needs it has to have for the broader market to accept it and utilize it. Where there is demand, there is development. Sometimes even in the case that's not good for the underlying protocol itself. But again, you got to give them what the customer wants, right? The customer's always right. So let me know down in the comment section down below, what do you think? How would you guys like to see DeFi play out on Bitcoin? Do you guys like the approach that DG Labs and Crypto Garage, for example, are taking by focusing on peer-to-peer contracts, by focusing on the Lightning Network, or do you think it could be done a different way? Love to see your guys' comments. And then the other two things that I want to talk about are going to be regarding Ethereum. So the one thing I'll point out is that we've got some interesting comments coming from Vitalik during his appearance on Peter McCormick's podcast yesterday. He was asked by McCormick whether he felt like Ethereum has become more of a challenging product than he originally envisioned. And if it kind of bitten off more than he could chew, particularly, in the context of this movement from proof of work ETH to ETH 2.0. And he said, quote, "I definitely freely admit that Ethereum 2.0 is much harder than we expected to implement from a technical perspective. I definitely don't think that we discovered any fundamental flaws that make it impossible, and I do think it will be finished. It's just a matter of time, and it's actually been progressing quite quickly lately. He was also asked about the many different tokens and projects which now operate on Ethereum, and he acknowledged that it's likely that many of these Ethereum applications may fail while others succeed. So to him, these are the ups and downs that have to take place while Ethereum finds its place. And many of these projects are independent of one another. He said, quote, if Ethereum tries to get into one space and it turns out it's actually not useful for that space, then fine. Those applications will not go anywhere. Meanwhile, the other sectors will just keep going. Now, Samson Mao was there during the podcast. He took a few shots at Ethereum. He criticized the narrative around the ambitious smart contract platform and how that narrative has shifted over time. He said, quote, it's okay to pivot and evolve, but there needs to be a healthy disclaimer that this thing is experimental. He continued, Mao went on to claim that a lot of Ethereum people are saying Ethereum is money now and whatnot, and how it's competing with Bitcoin. Even I'm not sure what Ethereum is or what it does, he said, or what it competes with. Is it a world computer or is it money? So valid points from Samson. He's been a pretty ardent critic of Ethereum over time, but he has Blockstream, so you can't really be surprised. And let's see here. Here we go. Last thing that I wanted to talk about here is, on the weekend video, I talked about the Ethereum 2.0 network or testnet going down, right? Getting completely borked. Well, now it's got, now it's hard forked. So the network crashed on Friday, and what little remained has forked into 4 different chains. So if you guys are unaware, a time-related bug brought down the Prism contract, which was the primary contract that I think over 80% of the 2.0 testnet participants were utilizing, merely because it was the only one with a nice tutorial. So there were 5 other clients for test validators to work with, but again, very few were utilizing those. And developers are rushing to develop fixes, but it seems that there is havoc on the network for determining consensus of what is the head block, and with every client that joins, it causes further confusion. So the time fix bug was patched, and it kind of dissolved critical issues, but like Vitalik said, right? Just a matter of time, huh? Just a matter of time. We'll see. We'll see. I want to stay positive. I want to stay positive on Ethereum. Pump my bags. All right. Let's go back to Bitcoin, see what we're doing here. All right. Very weak sell-off. Okay, I like this. I like this for continued upside. And sorry, just wanted to get my notes back over here and see if we had any good questions. I lost you guys in the chat. Okay. Shout out to all you guys watching. 210, good day. How are we doing on time? Only about 3 minutes left. So I think what I'll do is let's go to this tab, and I'm going to do one more request, and this is going to be on EOS, because I actually like EOS here. So let's go to EOS USD. We're going to look at EOS here. All right, so we're on the weekly chart, and as we can see, EOS has found some good support twice now, almost 3 times, right around the $2 mark, right? So kind of the $2 bridge being the area that is certainly our level of support. Good accumulation from EOS here. Didn't really do anything for quite a while, for about 3 months. Just moved sideways, following its bounce back from the March meltdown. But we didn't get that rapid price appreciation that we saw in Bitcoin. But I think EOS is doing well here, and EOS is obviously positioned as an Ethereum killer. EOS has a lot going for it right now, as well as in addition to just the structure of the blockchain. EOS is going to vie very hard for DeFi to come over to EOS. EOS is going to jump on this train, and EOS, one could argue, has less of the kind of transaction clog issue that might be able to be avoided by that cannot be avoided by Ethereum, assuming Ethereum is not able to fix the issues with Ethereum 2.0 and staking. So I think EOS is one to watch. I think that we've got it's certainly one of the bigger blockchain projects. So you don't want to be, you do not want to be ignoring this one. Now, from a technical perspective, we are, of course, in a daily bullish trend. Let's get super trend back on here. We are in a daily bullish trend. We've just put in 5 candles of price appreciation here. So forming a new swing high on the daily. I don't think right now is the time to buy. We did get a continuation signal on EOS 2 days ago, leading to this upsurge. I do see a pullback here on EOS. If we are able to get one, that would be one that I would be looking to buy. Yeah, I do like the look of EOS here on the daily. Not an entry on the daily, but we'll look for a pullback. Yeah, the pullback entry, we do have support, current support on the daily trend down around 288. That's where I would position a reversal baseline bounce. And I'd be looking for a reversal within the trend somewhere between $3 and $3.20, maybe on a retest of resistance down at about $3.30. Weekly chart looks good as well. We now have a bullish trend on the weekly. Have not formed, actually, excuse me, yes. We are forming higher highs and higher lows on the weekly as well. The weekly kind of looks like it could pull back here as well. But that's inconclusive. I need more data. I need to see how this weekly candle closes. Again, just psychologically, probably the reason I say that is simply because the current weekly candle is red. And so that's not conclusive evidence. You need to see how the weekly candle closes. So based off the daily, we are trending pretty nicely to the upside. We have seemed to have hit a wall because certainly other USD assets are appreciating against the dollar, whereas EOS seems to be stalling out, which is not uncommon given the fact that we just put in some great gains on EOS here. So watch for that pullback. Watch for either the retest of resistance at 330 or that reversal within the trend between $3 and $3.20, or ultimately that reversal baseline bounce at, I think it was $3, I think right on the money. Yeah, so no entry today, but certainly one to watch. And I do like EOS fundamentally kind of moving forward. I think we've got a good narrative here. And especially if we can break above this high at 550, which is quite a ways from here. That'll be, listen, when we kind of, on a lot of these altcoins that have been around since 2018, when we break above levels that we haven't seen since 2018, it's kind of a sign to me that, oh, okay, we really are going to get into retail mania phase. So hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. All right, with that said, guys, it's 2 o'clock. I got to cut the show off. Thank you guys so much for coming. Let's go to the big scene for the exit queue. And here we are back in the big scene. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin. You guys have been a fantastic audience. I really appreciate all the community involvement, all the chat action, all the questions. Great questions today. Be looking for our Breaking Bitcoin Bits episode tonight. And of course, if you haven't, support the channel, subscribe, like, and share this video around. Whether you're on YouTube, you can support us over on Twitch and DLive as well. Make sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description. And if you guys want to start building your own objective trading strategy, or receive access to our trading signals, or receive access to our indicators, mentorship, our education with our online trading academy, and much, much more, including our premium community on Discord, make sure to check out everything that we do at premium.krakencryptocurrency.com. Remember, guys, it is an exciting time, as I said earlier, kind of in the mid-show for the break. A lot of money to be made, but keep your wits about you. People are not, for the most part, if people are giving you like objectively bad advice, like recognize that for what it is and make your own decisions, because at the end of the day, your P&L is your responsibility. You're the person pressing the buttons. You're the person who has to pay your bills. You're the person who has to be accountable to your own self. So to thine own self be true and make good decisions. Be in a good, healthy space. Make sure that you guys are resting. Make sure that you guys are taking time away from the charts during these periods. And yeah, just enjoy it, right? Just enjoy it. And remember, probably the best skill that you can utilize in this area is to sit on your hands. We will be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin. And we'll be here all week long, guys, because the power is back on, all right? Until next time, trade safely, guys. Cheers. I'll see you in the Discord.